Hello and thank you for joining me for Music in My Life. Much of the music in my own personal life involves my guest for today. His name is Robert Carr, we call him Bobby, and he's going to share with me his inspiration for songwriting, which has inspired a whole album called Father's Heart. He'll be talking about his inspiration as a father and a grandfather and how that informs his musical writing. Stay with us. Inspirational music. What inspires you musically? Have you ever listened to a song where you thought that song is not just good, it is inspired? Now I'm going to play you a song which you've probably never heard before in your life. It goes like this. Of course you know that song. It's Happy Birthday, Cumpleaños Feliz if you're Spanish, Bon Anniversaire if you're French. That song was written by two kindergarten school teachers in Kentucky. And believe it or not, you may not consider that song to be the most inspirational of music, but that is the highest grossing song of all time. Whenever you hear that song played in a film or in a restaurant, someone somewhere is picking up a nice handsome check. But the word inspiration has to do with breathing in. When you're inspired, you breathe in life, you breathe in the atmosphere, you breathe in nature. And that inspires or influences what you write about. And I know in my own personal experiences, the best songs that I believe I've produced, songs which I can listen to over and over again of my own music, are songs which I believe were inspired by real life situations. Sometimes as composers, we write music because we have to. We get a commission and we're saying, right, we need you to produce a piece on such and such a day for such and such a reason. And sometimes you find yourself maybe searching for ideas that you want to live with, but knowing that you've got that deadline, and sometimes there is that tension. And I know some composers nowadays don't accept commissions because they just want to feel that they are truly inspired 100% before they put anything out. But the most powerful music is music that has been inspired by very real life experiences. And I know in my own writing that whenever I've had to come up with a song, if I just think about what am I feeling at this particular moment in time, I know I can come up with something that is real, and maybe there is somebody else who is going through exactly the same thing that can pick up on what I'm trying to say in my own music. And people are inspired by nature, but today's guest, he's inspired by people, in fact his own offspring, and that has inspired a whole album of songs. So it's going to be interesting to hear just how fatherhood and the daughter-father relationship has become inspiration for a whole album of songs with my next guest. Well, Bobby, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
I mentioned in my introduction that really you are part of the music in my life because you were involved in 4 groups which I'm a part of. So thank you very much. Now, what sort of turns you on musically?
I like quite a wide range of music. I have a particular love for contemporary sounds. But I love the music that has come from the classical tradition. I don't listen to a lot of classical tradition on a daily basis, but the arrangements of singers like Steve Green and Lionel Harris that involves lush orchestrations, I find them amazingly powerful in my musical experience. And so there's quite a variety. The traditional, the contemporary, the up-tempo, the old school.
So growing up, you grew up in Trinidad.
Yes.
Right. Now, what was happening musically in the home for you?
Ooh, the radio was the central area we heard music. And Trinidad is quite the melting pot. So we have the Indian influences. But I mean the subcontinent of India. So we have lots of Hindus in Trinidad and Muslims, and there's quite a mixture. Zindagi ek safar ek sohanna. One of the phrases of a melody that's stuck in my head. So I grew up with lots of Indian music, lots of calypso, of course. I was pretty much a sponge to whatever was going on the radio. So I heard the reggae, the calypso, also the contemporary sounds coming from America as well as Britain. So Tom Jones was a great favorite of mine. So was Engelbert Humperdinck.
Please release me. Okay.
Because we got the television shows as well.
Yes, yes.
But Voice of Prophecy was very much a part of my experience growing up, because it was on national radio. And so the King's Herald was a big part of my life.
That's a quartet. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So, of course, now you've transitioned from childhood, teenage years, dabbling in carnival or whatever you did, and now you become a man. So, now, of course, you've worked with a number of singers in your life. So how do you get involved in the whole sort of session singing scene?
Yes. Well, that's an interesting experience. I started singing with groups as a teenager, having emigrated from Trinidad to the UK back in the mid-70s. I'm in the UK now, and the young people in my local church were very active. And we formed a group, and we called ourselves New Life. We began to get some attention from
Positive, negative?
Very well. There was a mixture.
You're right, right.
We were one of the first young groups to dabble in contemporary American gospel. People like Andre Crouch and Walter Hawkins. We kind of were very much attracted to their musical influences, and we started to sing some of that stuff. And because we were fairly adept at harmony, it got the attention of the Pentecostal musicians around us. And some of them, a very contemporary band called
Paradise, was it?
Paradise, thank you. Help me out there.
I knew you were heading with that one.
They invited us to sing on their second album. They were doing their second album called World's Midnight. And that was my very, very first recording experience. We were about 20 years old by then.
Yes.
Paul Lee and myself and a few others, Derek Hoyt and Michelle Hoyt. And that was a fabulous introduction to the world of recorded music. And our harmonies led us into working with them and other experiences. We met Paul Johnson,
Oh, yes.
who also worked with Paradise. And it was my friendship with Paul Johnson in particular that led me to starting to work with contemporary musicians outside of the church. And we started to work with people like Hot Chocolate, Jules Holland, Paul Young. Paul Young was a great favorite of ours. We recorded in a couple of his albums, and we also did some stuff with Bros. So I think I'm showing my age here, the kinds of music we got involved with. And one of the greatest experiences, of course, during that whole secular recording period that I categorize it as, was working with Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
And this would have been...
Wasn't that lovely?
Isn't he lovely? It was absolutely the high point of my musical experience thus far, because I considered him to be my absolute all-time hero musically.
Well, what was it about him that endeared you to him as a musician?
Several things. He had the most incredible singing voice. I was astonished by his vocal range and virtuosity singing. But he also played so incredibly well, besides the harmonica. And his songs, though, most of all, it was the content, the lyrical content. He wrote on such amazing themes. You know, he spoke about the pressures of life, living for the city, and inner visions, and you know, reaching to higher ground. Although some of his religious concepts don't coincide with mine, because I think higher ground has a little bit of reincarnation concepts in it. But the idea of reaching to higher ground, leaving your past behind and reaching to higher ground. But it's also the breadth of subject matter that he would write about. It was absolutely inspirational for me.
Well, picking up on that subject, of course, you yourself are a songwriter, and it's something that you came to, I guess, relatively later in your life in terms of the output of songs and the amount of output of songs. But when did you write your very first song?
I was about 18 when I wrote a song for one of the girls in my church. And it was a friendship song.
That's the incentive to write a song.
I mean, it was, when I look back on it, I think I borrowed some of the melody from another contemporary group. What were they called? 3 Times a Lady?
The Commodores.
Commodores, yes. Commodores, yes. And I remember, you know, you absorb things and you don't always know that you're regurgitating it. Right. But I think the song, looking back, borrowed some compositional elements from 3 Times a Lady. Wow. It had that very da, 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 that kind of structure. And,
well, we all borrow each other's music, really. In my own music, I know you'll find bits of Bach, Beethoven, Stevie Wonder, wherever you want, maybe even bits of yours. So I'll pay your royalties. But I mean, come back to, you've made an album, and you've entitled it Father's Heart, and you've penned a number of the songs. In fact, we worked on that album together. But the idea behind the songs in terms of the content was, of course, yours. And you've used the theme of fatherhood.
Yes.
And why the theme of father? What's so important about father? Of course, you are a father and a grandfather, but...
Yes. It's an interesting thing. I sat down when we embarked on this project of collecting some songs to record. I remember thinking, well, I'd like to write something from my own heart. And I sat down to write a song about my daughter. So I had my notepad and I had my Bible for inspiration as well, so I could search for certain texts. And the process was new because I hadn't done it for about 20 years. And so I tried to write a song about my daughter and how she impacted my life. But actually something else came out. And it's another song on the album called My Love Will Cover You. But coming back to the Father's Heart itself, when I started to focus on how I felt the day she was born, I remember watching her being born, seeing her head for the first time come through. And it's hard to put it into words. It was incredible and magical and stunning. And so when I sat down to write about it, it felt like someone waking up out of sleep. And so I started off thinking, you came into my world like the sun lightens up the day, dawning within my mind. How does it go?
Beautiful mystery.
A beautiful mystery dawning within my mind.
I had to set this music.
I've forgotten my own words. Right. Revealing the truth that was hidden by the darkness. The light of innocence so pure and mild did shine. So the innocence of a new baby seemed very much to me like light being shone in a dark place. And it felt as if my life was now being awakened out of slumber into a new day. My sense of perception was somehow magically transformed to see the truth of God with new eyes. And so that's how it kind of came into me.
Well, let's share that song.
Okay.
You wrote the words. I had to interpret the words and put music
Yes.
to it and try to imagine what was going through your heart in terms of
Okay.
mystery and innocence and expression.
Okay.
So let's share our
have
joint
a go.
song
Okay.
of The Father's Heart.
You came into my world like the sun lighting up the day, a beautiful mystery dawning within my mind, revealing the truth that was hidden by the darkness, the light of innocence, so pure and mild it shine. You fill my heart with love, changing the way I see. You were sent from above, making me all I was meant to be. You brought so much joy into my life, I hardly know where to start to say all that you are and mean to me, to express a father's heart. For unto us a child has been given. Through his life all heaven has come down. Healing love, restoring all that's broken, arms outstretched to save. All who come will wear his crown. You fill our hearts with love, changing the way we see. You were sent from above, making us all we were meant to be. You brought so much joy into our lives. With you we have a brand new start. You've shown us all that we are and mean to God. You express the Father's heart. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son to show what love really means, wanting us to see the Father who needs to be with his children every day, every step along the way. You fill our hearts with love, changing the way we see. You were sent from above, making us all we were meant to be. You brought so much joy into our lives. With you we have a brand new start. You've shown us all that we are and mean to God. express the Father's heart. You've shown us all that we are and mean to God. You express the Father's heart.
Thank you, very powerful song. Now that's your album there, Father's Heart.
Yes, it is.
Is that you?
No, it's not. A Birmingham model.
Oh, it's a Birmingham model, okay. Now, it seems to me that in your song, you love the use of metaphor. And I'm going to pick up another song on there, Just Keep On Asking. What's that one all about?
Just keep on asking. Well, I think I'm a little bit of a doting father. And it gives me great pleasure to make my daughter happy, to shower her with toys and whatever will give her pleasure, to provide everything. Taking her to the park was a great pleasure of mine, watching her swing and run around. But then as she grew up, I wanted other things for her, and I wanted to nurture her in other ways and give her the right guidance as she thought about her education and what she would choose. And it helped me to understand that my Father God relates to me in pretty much exactly the same way. He takes great pleasure in me, wants to provide for me, wants to guide me. And that's kind of how I came to just keep on asking.
Well, well, let's share the song.
I remember when she was just a little girl, we showered her life with gifts and toys, wanting to fill her days with happiness was the pleasure we enjoyed. Now that she's older, things are still the same, only the gifts instead have changed. Our prayer each day is for God's blessing, to be with her all her days. Just keep on asking and you will be given. Just keep on looking and you will find. Just keep on knocking and the door will open. If you believe, you will receive all that you've ever dreamed and hoped for. It's your Father's good pleasure to bestow. He'll pour out His Spirit without measure. His glory to all your life will show. Go on and place before Him all you need, whatever it is that's in your heart. Your loving Father wants to bless you more than you can even think to ask. Learn to talk to Him every day. Listen close and you'll hear His voice, guiding you daily into His presence. Your soul in Him will rejoice. Just keep on asking and you will be given. Just keep on looking and you will find. Just keep on knocking and the door will open. If you believe, you will receive all that you've ever dreamed and hoped for. It's your Father's good pleasure to be strong. He'll pour out His Spirit without measure. His glory to all your life will show. So come to Him in simple faith. The trust of a child is all you need. You can be bold, nothing He will Just keep on knocking and the door will open. If you believe, you will receive all that you've ever dreamed and hoped for. It's your Father's good pleasure to bestow. He'll pour out His Spirit without measure. His glory to all your life will show. Just keep on asking and you will be given. Just keep on looking and you will find. Just keep on knocking and the door will open. If you believe, you will receive all that you've ever dreamed and hoped for. It's your Father's good pleasure to bestow. He'll pour out His Spirit without measure. His glory to all your life will show.
Right, we do this exercise at the end of every Music in My Life where we actually ask you just to give a couple of key words which sum you up as a person, and we're going to just improvise on it a little bit. So what would you say?
Singing and dancing.
All right, so you want to keep on
Best
singing.
combination.
Keep on singing, keep on dancing. All right. So let's do something which encourages people to sing and dance.
Keep on singing, keep on dancing. Oh, keep on singing, keep on dancing, keep on singing, keep on dancing. Oh, sing, sing and dance. Keep on singing, keep on dancing. Keep on moving, keep on grooving, oh, sing, sing and dance to the Lord.
Hey, bro. Thanks for joining. I'll see you on the next gig.
Yeah.
I know when I look into my son's face, I see a reflection of myself, the good, the bad, and the good-looking. A song is a bit like a child because within it, within the words, the music, you often see a reflection of your own self. Now, you may think that because you're not a composer, that you can't write a song. Well, you're wrong there. In each and every one of us lies a song. Find that thing which inspires you and go write that song. Join me again for Music in My Life.